Hey you guys, this is your girl Natural. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please do me a favor, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that bell, that way you know whenever I post a video. So we're here to talk again today about the narcissist. I'm going to keep on making these videos about the narcissist because I definitely consider myself a survivor. Like, I'm not an expert by any means, but there just were that handful of narcissists that were chilling up in my life for like years, and I just didn't realize that my life force was being compromised. Like, and that's something that you find like a trend between the talking points of anybody who's been through either narcissistic abuse or just like that ickiness that you feel being around a narcissist. It really feels like spiritual warfare. It feels like emotional warfare. You just, you, even though they seem nice, polite, respectful on the surface, like you just walk away from any extended period of time from them feeling utterly drained. So we're gonna keep talking about it, because I see that it's helping people. I see that it's helping people to actually hear somebody say, "Hey, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but like I've been there, and it sucks, and you're strong enough to overcome it." It also really helps to talk about it. I've noticed that people who come into these videos where we chat about the narcissist, they will be more comfortable, sending a like than actually commenting. Some people comment, but that right there even shows just that we live in this narcissistic time. Narcissism is like rampant these days. That I feel like a lot of people want to blame the problems that we have today on social media, on drug abuse, on lack of religion. But I feel like all of those things culminate to just make narcissism something that is so like not even chastised, but even further like praised. People who become your bosses, your pastors, your preachers, your CEOs have narcissism. I told you guys there was a study that showed like 1 out of 5 execs are narcissists. So it's really serious, and it's nice to hear that like on a societal level, like you've been gaslit. Because people like to pretend that narcissism is like just this new trendy thing, but no, it's a thing. So we want to talk today about how the narcissist can't stand that you're an individual. And to come back to the basic study that I've done, and you guys know my journey with the major narcissist that was in my life for like 10 years. I just didn't know that this person was a narcissist, but I wouldn't allow myself to get very close to them. And slowly, you might not even notice it, but they just infuriate you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they do it in such a subtle way, though, that you don't notice it. And after, you realize, and if you're an individual, it knocks it down to this whole other level. And you don't even have to be, like I said, the smartest person in the room, the prettiest person in the room, but just that element of you being an individual. A lot of narcissists literally see that as their target of what to destroy, and they go for it. And the thing about narcissists is like, they are okay being in it in the long run game. Right now, I'm watching this Korean show, a K-drama, another one, because I'm like so obsessed with K-dramas now, called Rooftop Prince, right? And there are these two just totally evil characters. There's actually three. There's a son and his dad, and then there's the chick that the son is dating. And I think that they are like absolutely like, how do you call it? Grade A quintessential narcissist. They have a totally inflated sense of self. They are deeply insecure on the inside, but how they appear on the outside, their image is really important to them. They're just freaking evil. They're just freaking evil. They're like plotting, doing everything that they can to scrape their little claws onto power and hold on to it and build it up. They are like power brokers, narcissists. And the thing in this show, which I love K-dramas, because K-dramas really they set the perfect just visual example of narcissists gone bad. You know, like their evil villains are so obvious to us, the viewer, but the people inside of these universes that are the shows, that are the storyline, they're completely oblivious to it. And when you think about it, that's how it is in real life too. You know, like I said, my narcissist, the major one, I've had like a handful of them, but the one that was in my life for a very, very long time was a friend. And it just like, it did not seem like this person was a narcissist. But as time slowly went on, I noticed that my individualism started to slowly go down. And the thing that I noticed in this Rooftop Prince K-drama is the narcissists in here are liars. They're liars. They're huge, huge, huge liars. They lie to themselves. They lie to other people. And they stack lies on top of lies. And eventually, they're so deep in all their lies that they somehow start to believe them. They forget their lies, and then they got to tell more lies to cover up over those lies. They're just so sloppy. They're lying to themselves, basically. And so when they see someone who's an individual, from my understanding, you know, people who are individuals, they don't gotta lie. They are who they are, and they're proud of that, you know, even if it's not something where, for instance, in Rooftop Prince, the person who is the empath or the narcissistic supply is named Parka, and she is sweet. She's very endearing, but she's also kind of feisty, and she comes from a very meager background, you know, but she owns this fish store, you know, and she's working hard, and she's just someone who doesn't take herself too seriously. You can go down to the pub with her, get a drink, and she'll laugh with you. It'll be, you know, she's not totally always filtering everything that she's saying. She's just like a genuine, natural person. She's an individual. But it's not like she's trying so hard to be an individual. And her, without giving too many spoilers, her sister is just like evil. She's like evil villain number one. But for some reason, Parka just does not see that. And so I was telling my husband, sometimes when you look at these shows, you just want to go into the show and shake the character who's the good guy and be like, can't you see that this person is evil? But when you think about it in real life, it's exactly like that. If you will think about your narcissist, you know, if you're watching this video, if you think about your narcissist in your life and you think back on the timeline, they were definitely planting their seeds of destroying you all along. But at the time, they didn't seem super duper serious. But when you add it all up and you look at it in hindsight, you're like, holy crap. They were like evil villain number 3 from a film. And they really try very hard to be an individual. It's a contrived individual persona for them. Like, for instance, in the show, the evil sister, she wears really bright clothes, high heels all the time, lots of makeup, you know, very chic haircuts, you know, like she is definitely, she is into it, you know, she's got the look. But it's not because she's an individual. It's because she's so deeply, deeply insecure, and she's trying so hard to be the prettiest girl in the room, be the smartest person in the room, you know, and she can't just speak freely. She can't just be herself because she's built herself up on so many different lies. And so I came across this thread on Reddit. Not related to Rooftop Prince, that show or anything, but, you know, looking at those characters in that show, it made me think about that. But I came across this thread on Reddit, and it's entitled, "They Can't Stand That You're an Individual." And I just wanted to read this to you, and I wanted to chat with you guys about it, because I thought it was really helpful. So, this person says, "It's a very bizarre mindset, but a narcissist can't stand that you're an individual. They don't want you to be your own person, and they actively take steps to make sure that you can't be your own person." They really, really do. I'll just pause there. You know, even to come back to the show as an example, like the sister, the evil sister, literally says, "I'm going to do everything I can to destroy you." You know, it's like she does. She tries to remove her friends out of her life. She tries to remove the guy that she likes out of her life. She ruins a business deal for her, you know, and still, she does it so insidiously, so subtly, all stacked up on lies that the good sister doesn't even kind of realize what all of this. She eventually realizes it because she comes back to her childhood and remembers that basically her sister put her on this bus that abandoned her, and basically she got into a car wreck and she ended up being adopted by a family in the US. That's where it gets all, you know, that's the K-drama soap opera thing for you. So she eventually has a realization, but I mean, it's like basically, I think years. I think it's years before she actually really comes to that realization. Like, holy crap, she's been. And by at this point, she's lost so many things. Her friendships have been compromised. She's lost business. You know, she was about to buy the store, and that totally got ruined, and she basically had to start from zero. So she had to start again from zero on her business. She has all these little sabotagey things happening in her life, and she never ever puts it together that it's her narcissistic sister who's doing all of this. So, yeah, watch out for that. The narcissist really, really tries to sabotage any kind of success, any kind of, you know, instance of you being an individual, especially reaping success from you being just the individual person that you are. They will slowly try to destroy that. And sometimes they themselves don't even understand why they're doing that. And it goes into that malignant narcissist space, because at some point they actually do look in the mirror and they hate themselves, but the mask, they keep putting that mask back on. The narcissistic mask to me is the most crazy thing, because they show you exactly who they are in these small little things, but then they can flip that mask back on so quick, and they're just like, oh no, and they just go back to being polite and nice and stuff, and you're just like, what the heck just happened? The sad thing is that most people who become narcissistic supply are empaths. And empaths, like myself, always want to see the absolute friggin' best in people. But there is no best in the narcissist. It's just not there. But, you know, since the narcissists aren't afraid of a long run game, the one thing that I will say is that eventually karma catches up. And karma can be in the form of the empath really just like growing a spine and going no contact. It could be the justice system, like maybe they've been breaking the law and the justice system will catch up. It could maybe be a group of people in their life do an intervention. It could be that, you know, individually, but multiple people in their life just start dropping them. They realize this person is toxic, and so they all just sort of leave them. But either way, from what I see from personal experience, other people I've talked to about this, and dramatizations of the narcissist on TV shows, eventually the narcissist ends up being a one-man show. They end up being a lone wolf, because just picture all the crap I just talked about. Nobody wants to be around that all the time. And so that is the vindication, I think, for the empath, is that eventually the empath is vindicated because karma just catches up, and usually the empath doesn't even need to stoop down to the narcissist level for the narcissist to get the retribution that they need, or for the empath to move on and leave the narcissist behind, because karma, that's the way that karma works, that's the way the universe works, you know, things eventually catch up. So this person goes on to say, you don't realize it at first, because that would be crazy, right? To want to control and subjugate another person until they don't even have a mind of their own anymore. That right there is, so this person is genius, because that's exactly how you think. It's like, that would be crazy. Like, you don't even see the narcissist as some evil person, because you're like, that would be crazy. They haven't been doing all this crazy stuff because you're like a super evil villain number 3. That can't be possible. Like, but no, it is. They go on to say, you wouldn't imagine someone doing that to you, so you don't think that they're doing that. But that's their whole goal, to absorb you into themselves and erase you completely. There's this weird dynamic with narcissists. It's like they're trying to consume you, which is a very creepy thought, but that's what they're trying to do. Pause there. It's so true. It's super duper 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 creepy, because essentially, like, they see you and they want to weirdly become you. They oddly hate you. They oddly really, really like you. I won't say respect you because I don't know that they really respect people, but they see something in you that they want as a quality, as a characteristic, as a quality, a character quality themselves. And they feel like subconsciously they need to destroy you to get it. You know, it's like if you guys ever watched that show Charmed, where some of the demons and icky critters and creatures and stuff like that would basically consume your force, consume your power. Even though that's super dramatized and stuff, that's basically what it is. They want to consume what you got. Um, and I feel like, I don't know if they do this with everyone. I feel like some people are other narcissists, and so narcissists kind of recognize each other, even if they don't verbally say it. Like, for instance, in the show that I'm talking about, the three narcissists themselves kind of all weirdly understand each other's personalities, and so they're not trying to completely consume each other, except for, I would say, in a way that's very, very sabotagey, you know? It's in a way that's sort of, my gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. There's a clear understanding between narcissists that I don't even think the narcissists themselves are aware of. But they're targeting empaths and innocents and the weaker ones much more than they're targeting the other narcissists. Unless they cross their path in some certain type of way. And it just would be crazy. Like, literally, one's brain, if you are a normal human being, it almost cannot wrap around the fact that someone would want to absorb someone else, you know? And to think about that they do this over and over and over and over and over and over and over again throughout their whole life is super duper disturbing. Because when you think about narcissistic supply, you as one little empath are definitely not the only narcissistic supply for this person. This person probably at least once a year has a new narcissistic supply, you know, or a collection of them. So that means just think about how many people they've damaged along the way. I feel like narcissism is something we really, really need to start recognizing and educating on, and really, really raising mental health awareness on, because the society we live in is so narcissistic and we don't even realize it, that it's going to become a real problem eventually. It's going to become a real problem. So it says they want you to be nothing so that they are the only one who's important and the sole focus of everything. You as a person literally do not count to them. They want you to be like a doll or a mannequin, there to be subservient, obedient, and to bask in their greatness. They really don't see you as anything more than that. Your purpose is them, not you. It's very unsettling, and when you don't understand what they're doing to you, you don't bother to put up boundaries to stop it. And then you only realize when it's too late. It is so, so true. You only, like, so many times, you know, people who have been narcissistic supply only realize when it's too late. You know, and I won't say too late, but they realize when they've got things like CPTSD. They realize when they've got anxiety disorders. They realize when they've got, you know, panic attacks and asthma and high blood pressure, you know, all types of stuff. And so, again, this is really important that we as society start to recognize that this is the age of the narcissist. So let me read you some of the comments here. Somebody says, oh, absolutely. Once I started to find my personality again, he decided it was time to discard me for good. Good riddance. Now, I know this sounds terrible, but when a narcissist discards you, baby, you are so lucky. Like, the people, they probably don't know it at that moment, but if they really discard you and they don't keep coming back, keep hoovering you up, keep destroying your life over and over again, keep trying to destroy you over and over again, that's good. When they just kind of leave you for dead and never ever come back, you are like one of the, and you're not dead, you are one of the luckiest persons on the planet. So let's read a few more. Um, so this person said this. This is everything of my narc coworker. She thinks that me and the other girls are SHITs. She treats us that way, and I wish the rest could see that. All the dramas because of her. She is effing cruel and cannot stand seeing others happy. And this is not limited. This narcissistic coworker type thing. Oh, it's hard. It's hard because I remember talking to my sister one time. And she was like, in a way, in the workplace, you are more vulnerable than you are at home. And I had to think about that for a bit, but it's so true. Because there's a lot more egos flying around, and your livelihood is at stake sometimes on stupid office politics. And I talked to my mom because I've also dealt with narcissistic coworkers, even bosses and managers. And I was like, is this limited to just an age group? I'm like, because my mom has a PhD. My mom had me when she was 40. I'm 31, so she's 71. And even she told me of this like crazy principal. My mom was a teacher. And she told me about this crazy principal who her whole sort of management structure was based on gossiping, and she had replaced a principal who was like that individual, someone who was like really like a great person. She really believed in what she was doing. She was naturally a leader. She was really good at her job. And narcissists, they hate people like that because they're so contrived, and they have to rely on things like gossip and gaslighting and stonewalling and all those nasty techniques basically to get to the same place that an individual would get to. And my mom, who is dignified, like graceful, literally cares about her kids so much. Like there are kids that she taught literally 20 years ago who see her in the Target or see her at the mall or getting her tires changed. They're like, oh my god, they love her. They run up to her. There's people who ask her for college recommendations. There's people who are working for NASA and Microsoft who credit my mom with helping them to get to the position that they're in. Like, my mom is such a beast. And I just imagine whoever this woman was, doing all these weird little subtle things to break my mom down. Because my mom, I don't know if I made this clear, but she refused, obviously, to engage in crap like that and gossiping or whatever it was to get into good a good rapport or whatever with this narcissist. Something's got to be done about this because it's real. It's really, really real. And I've told you guys, even therapists have a hard time with narcissists. So I'm gonna go. I know that I've talked about sort of friends. I've talked about coworkers. I definitely want to put this into context for some people who were married or in relationships with narcissists, even though that's not like my exact experience. When I go online and I research, a lot of people are talking about that. A lot of people are talking about having been married to a narcissist, co-parenting with a narcissist, and so I just felt like I had to also read a comment who talks about that too. So this person says, thank you for putting this into words. This is a really long comment. Looking back, I absolutely could not believe some of the crap that would come out of my nex's mouth. So I guess that's X and narcissist. That I just lived with. Anytime I was talking about something of mine, things that were literally mine and only mine, she would correct me. For example, me. Hey, the vet just called and said I can pick my cat up anytime today, so I'll be a little late coming home. Her excuse. Oh, excuse me, you mean our cat? What's yours is mine, unless you don't love me. That's super duper weird. I'm a huge car enthusiast and have spent my entire life, or as far as I can remember, obsessing over them and dreaming of one day having my own custom fabrication shop. My next, who didn't know the first thing about cars, was suddenly a gearhead when we started dating, who's always had a dream of opening her own custom fabrication shop. What? And that's the pause there. That's so what they do. That's so what they do. They see your interests and they just try to absorb those interests. It's almost like they have an identity issue. Like they don't really have an identity of their own, so they just gotta piggyback on someone else. It's super creepy. This person goes on to say, in an attempt to trap me, she was extremely pushy about opening this shop right this second. Every day she would come home with all kinds of information about loans and property prices, the pros and cons of building our own shop versus renting space, etc. Every time I explained to her that pulling a high risk loan like that while we both were already in debt wasn't a good idea, it turned into a fight. Um, I do want to delve into this more. I also have come to the understanding that narcissism, especially in marriages and things like that, it's a really, really difficult thing as far as finances. Um, and I'm not completely sure that I understand that fully because most of the narcissists who have been in my life, they've been extremely good with money, but it's just because they look at it as another form of how to maintain their good wardrobe and their whatever it is. So but some narcissists are also like raging alcoholics who like have failed businesses and stuff. So I don't know, I need to really look into that to understand more, but I do know it's a thing. I've seen it on the internet, and I know that finances between a narcissist and their empath can be a thing. So it goes on to say, so the narcissist is saying, well, I guess you don't see a future with me if you can't cut me some slack and do something to work towards our life dream. Our life dream? What? So it goes on to say, I couldn't even play video games online with my brother who lives across the country without her throwing a fit because I didn't have his mic feed playing over the TV, because anytime I would laugh, she knew we were talking about her. Oh my goodness. I could say something to my brother and call him by name, and she would get right in my face and be like, what? Are you talking about me? I heard you say something. It's like, what the heck? Absolutely ridiculous. They refuse to let you be your own person. And it's true. Solutions for this, again, I'm not a therapist and I don't pretend to be. But I think the solution for it is quite obvious. You just have to keep being your own person. And you have to cut contact. Like I think as empaths specifically, what the person who wrote this thread, the way they said, oh, that can't be possible. This can't be true that this person actually wants to control me, absorb me, and subjugate me to all this torture. That can't be true. Like, if you're a normal human being, your head quite literally can't wrap itself around how someone would actually want to do that. But it's like, yeah, it's true. They'll actually do that. So you should run for the hilt, like now. I think if it's really difficult and that person has to stay in your life, obviously limiting contact as much as you can, and also doing a lot of reparative work to sort of cut them out of your life. Cut their energy out of your life. I'm sorry. So the meditation, the prayer, working on your health. Constantly. Well, not constantly, but working out, and doing your yoga, going swimming, going biking, taking your vitamins, and concentrating and focusing on things that relax you. It could be journaling. Journaling is something that I definitely have been trying to get into more. It's really, really helpful for the kind of recovering from the narcissist. Also, you could also consider shielding. I've talked about shielding on my channel before, specifically for empaths. So it's where you kind of create this invisible bubble around you, of an energy shield, and you don't let others' energy come into yours. And one way that you could do that is you can just take 3 deep breaths in and out and say, I hereby release any energies that are not mine. It is done, it is done, it is done. And you can just keep doing that over and over again until you really feel like, the energy that's inside of you right now is just your energy. And whatever it is that you love to do, make sure that you don't abandon it. And the way that the narcissists don't want you to be an individual and they keep chipping away at that is so insidious, because they might not directly say, you suck at painting, stop painting. But they will put these things over months and weeks and years and periods of like, what makes you stop painting? You might have loved painting and you just slowly stop doing it. So you might not remember the direct things that they said to sort of sabotage that stuff. But just make sure whatever your passion is that makes you an individual, if it's painting, if it's fashion, if it's writing, if it's advocacy, if it's politics, if it's if you want to be a news anchor, I don't know, whatever it is, just make sure that you don't give up on it and you keep chipping away at it. And if like narcissists are awesome at misdirection. It's like they're talking not about painting, but they are basically telling you that you should stop painting. And before you know it, 2 years down the road, you haven't picked up a paintbrush in so long. You just have to remember, like, just because they didn't directly say it doesn't mean that they have been sabotaging your individualism. Keep on your missions, keep on your health, journal, get that energy shielding going, and if you can, cut all contact. Again, I know we want to see the best in people, but most narcissists will never change. Like my mom said to me growing up, don't take on other people's problems. It's so hard to not take on the narcissist problems. Those aren't your problems to keep. Those problems were there before you got there, and they're going to be there long after you're gone. Like, the narcissist has a little bit of hope if they go and get help. There are some self-aware narcissists that go and get help, and they are so much better for it. But there's a lot of narcissists who never ever go get help. And even when they do go get help, they are so deep within that narcissistic mindset that they can't even break away. And they end up making their therapist depressed. Like, that's when it's bad, when you are making therapists depressed. So, yeah, basically the moral of the story is just run as fast as you can. But I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. If you're new here, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, hit that bell. That way you know whenever I post a video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.